Welcome, welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host Trey Holiday, and y'all see we're bringing you the stories on a digital scale. Y'all know I gotta digitally throw it over to my guy, the one and only Big O. What's up, Big O? I got that down now, brother.
It still gets me, man. What's up, Trey Holiday? How are you
Hey,
today?
what's going on, man? How are you today? Happy Tuesday.
Man, it's only Tuesday. Yeah. Man,
Believe
this
it, my
week.
friend.
Oh my goodness, man. It's woof. Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well, man. You know what I'm saying? Moving and grooving, making it happen.
Okay, that's what's up. Man, so I know we're gonna have a conversation today. I know you're with Crew King County Equity now. It says shots fired. I saw this video last night, kind of calling out the mayor's task force process. I see that the King County Equity now is stepping up their communication strategy out here. So I want to talk to you about that. So we're gonna have a discussion about that a little later in the
Absolutely.
show, and get an understanding. But we'll jump right into the headlines first, man. And actually, a story coming out of North Texas, just outside of Dallas, where man Jonathan Price was shot and killed by a police officer, and actually the officer has been arrested. We'll play the clip right now.
In North Texas this morning, a small-town police officer is charged with murder in the killing of a black man. Jonathan Price was shot dead, reportedly while trying to break up a fight Saturday night. His family's attorney says he was unarmed at the time. Maria Villarreal spoke with Price's family before the charges against the officer were announced.
Wolf City police officer Sean Lucas was booked Monday night, charged with murder, and his bond set at $1 million. The Texas Rangers say Lucas was responding to a disturbance call outside a gas station on Saturday. That's when Officer Lucas encountered Price, who the Texas Rangers say resisted arrest in a non-threatening posture and walked away. Officer Lucas, according to the Rangers, then tased Price before shooting and killing him. This video captured the chaos Saturday night. The circumstances surrounding Lucas's decision to use deadly force is now under investigation. According to family members, it was Price who intervened and de-escalated a fight between a couple. His father, Junior Price, says he showed up to the scene on Saturday as paramedics worked to save him.
What do you remember of that moment?
Watching my son die. I knew he was dead before they moved him.
No justice!
No peace!
Hundreds gathered to peacefully honor Price Monday night, marching the streets of Wolf City, about 70 miles outside Dallas. Price's sister, April Lewis, says he worked for the city. He was also described as a hometown hero and a stand-up guy.
He had a bright future. He was going to start up his own business, fitness center, and it's just gone. I mean, it didn't have to end like that.
Civil rights attorney Lee Merritt represents the Price family.
They deserve to know every detail about what happened, and they need to know it immediately.
Still, his big sister April is skeptical they'll get answers.
I just want some kind of closure. That's all I want.
The family attorney tells us there is surveillance video of this shooting, and they are working with the Texas Rangers to see that very soon. And they are also planning to file a lawsuit in this case. Tony?
Maria, thank you very much. Part of what stands out in this case, in addition to the fact that the officer was charged and charged so quickly, is Price was childhood friends with Will Middlebrooks, who was a former infielder for the Red Sox. And Middlebrooks has gone online and taken to defend his friend and say he wasn't a criminal. He wasn't resisting arrest. This is racism, pure and simple, and we've got to look at it as such.
I like how it says no excuses this time. He was a criminal. Nope, not this time. He resisted arrest just to comply with cops. Nope, that doesn't work either. This was purely an act of racism, we should say. And Mr. Middlebrooks is white. He said, I'm sick, I'm heartbroken, and I'm furious.
And he's telling other white people who are coming at him online to take a step back this time.
How many times, though, guys, do we have to keep telling this story? And nothing seems to change.
Well, hopefully we'll get the surveillance footage that they believe is out there, and we'll see it.
Yeah, he's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, developing story out of North Texas.
Well, it's funny that their reaction is, hey, it's time to do the right thing. Here's a man here that was not a criminal, not resisting arrest. And we have many cases of this where they weren't a criminal, they weren't resisting arrest, they weren't in the act of a crime. They were literally stopping other crime or stopping other things from happening. I mean, this is very similar to what we just saw in Kenosha. I mean, there he was breaking up a fight. And so here we have it again. It's unfortunate because it only results in racism. We see this. It is fueled by it. That is the stem of it. It is the nucleus. And I'm glad they called it out this time.
Yeah, I definitely feel some kind of way. I'm always de-escalating something. I mean, I think a lot of people even saw that during the live stream days. And really, what was crazy is there was a few times during CHOP, people saw it live. You see two people pointing guns at each other. And, we sit there and de-escalate the situation. And, these are the kind of story I think probably concerns somebody like my mom, because I'm always trying to calm people down and this and that and everything else. And when I saw this story, I was like, damn, that really sounds like, like something I'd be doing. You're trying to get some pay. We don't need to be fighting here. Let's calm down and some everything else. So Texas Rangers stepped in, and this officer, he's been charged. So we'll see how this story plays out here in North Texas. But I think it's just something for our viewers. The best thing is we got such a dynamic group of viewers. Some people, they've grown up in this Black experience, and there's some people who, are new, trying to understand, and that's why they tune in to Converge, try to get a perspective, from a Black perspective or something. And it's, it's always something. You wake up and the national news is a story, like this. So we're definitely going to keep our eye on it.
Yeah, and Gail also makes a valid point here. It gets really tiring. I think the public is so tired of seeing these cases time and time again, over and over again. It's such a bombarding of our emotional selves, right? Where it puts so much strain on so many people that are in the Black community, because then you got to deal with the brunt of this and then go into work and be okay with it. Just because that Black person wasn't your immediate family member, you don't get any time to process this or to grieve. That's why real healing within community is so important. They're going to start doing healing circles throughout the community. And I encourage folks to really begin to look out for that information as it becomes available, because that is what our community needs. We're doing it in various ways. We saw it this summer with the Healing and Rebuilding series in the park at Jimi Hendrix on Sundays. I mean, with Donita and, her, a grieving mother who said, look, we have to come together. So it really does come down to a lot of us in community caring for one another again, because this is a bombarding on our people, on our persons, right? It feels hard for us sometimes, and we have to be there for one another, because every time we hear these stories, we really feel it, man.
All right, moving on to the local front here. Story in the Seattle Times. Let me bring this up here real quick. The Seattle Times today, Seattle might have the lowest rate of COVID-19 cases amongst major U.S. cities. And actually, when you, it's just, we probably actually do have the lowest, but what they're saying is some cities don't keep the rates. It's only the counties. But if you look at this right here, it's like Seattle is the bottom at 7.4. It's 7.4 per, what is it? I think it's like per 100,000 people, 7.4 cases per 1,000 people. So Seattle. Las Vegas is off the chain though. You know what I'm saying? Las Vegas. Remember we was watching that mayor of Las Vegas was like, yeah, hurry up. We want to open up. We want to open up and everything else. Las Vegas is like, and of course, Nashville. It's a lot of cities that are there, but Seattle is number one. It has the lowest, 7.4. And, it's just for a lot of different reasons. And some of that reasoning very well is, it's the nature of the city. People are wearing masks. They're trying to follow these guidelines and everything else. But something else that was really interesting is that this article points out is that the governor, the county executive, the mayor, and everybody was all on the same page, right? And remember, we talked about that when we were early on doing COVID coverage. It was like, wow, it's a unified voice. And then you had you had other people like county council members and city council members, and then you got community members. They were all on the same page with the same messaging. We got this, Seattle, and everything else, and so a lot of that, is played into the route or this rate here of Seattle being one of the lowest in America as far as big cities, with 7.4 cases per 1,000 people. I think it also tells you, it's the power of unified messaging. And, people, one of the things that we had talked about a while ago, really when the protest started, is like we saw unified messaging around defeating COVID, but we've yet to see unified messaging around the issues of social justice. And it's kind of interesting to see that, like, they were able to rally everybody. We got this, Seattle, no matter what neighborhood you're in, no matter your socioeconomic status or anything. It's even in our show intro and outro. We got hashtag, we got this, Seattle. Yeah. So, right now, though, what we see around this other crisis that we're facing here is an absence of any kind of unified messaging. The governor is over here, Dow Constantine's over there, Mayor Durkan's over here, King County Equity Dow's over there, Black Lives Matter's over there, so just an observation.
No, you're right. And I think that this is why it's so important to note when we talk about Seattle having this opportunity to really come together. We showcased it here and during COVID. You hit the nail on the head. We even talked about it right here on the Morning Update show. We gave kudos to Seattle for coming together.
A lot of kudos to Mayor Durkan, too.
Yeah, we gave kudos to Mayor Durkan.
I've read a lot of stories about Mayor Durkan.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we recognize good where good is, right? And we also recognize opportunities where opportunities lie. And I'm thankful that you point that out, because it's good for our audience to understand that we really do have the opportunity to lead. We did it once before doing COVID. We can do it now during this social justice movement. Honestly, we really have that opportunity.
Yeah. And, it's like I said, it'd be interesting to see if we ever get all of the people from the governor all the way down on the same page, just like we saw in this fight against COVID. So I got this next one here. Oh, yeah. So next up is about CHOP. Let's go here right now. It's going to be so many lawsuits about CHOP. So this is from the CapitolHillSeattle.com website. Big shout out to my man Justin over there. Want to join the CHOP lawsuit against the city? You have until February. As trial set for 2022. My friend, there's going to be so many lawsuits around CHOP. Me, myself, I'm in like, one way or another, I'm in like 50, 60 different lawsuits, man, because of the footage. People have, looked at my stream and this and that. It's mostly business, it's some of everybody. And it's crazy. I get hit up all the time, and, because people want to authenticate whether, it was my stream or if I was really there. I tell them that, that's about it, because then people want to actually put me in the suit. Like, well, do you want to claim? I'm like, listen, man, keep me out of it. A lot of lawsuits, man. This thing is going to be a big mess for the city. And yeah, 2022 is when they're looking at some of these lawsuits going to court about CHOP.
Well, there was so much discourse during CHOP about, what is this cleanup going to cost the people of Seattle, right? And so many people were talking about it. And now we see kind of how this is going to play out. I think there's a lot of, things that folks felt were wrong that just straight up happened. We've been reporting on them. And so covering this stuff, now we have some real insight as to how people were treated, mistreated, how businesses and people that were just residents. So you're right in terms of the blow up that this could really take, because I think that in some of that brute force, there wasn't really much thought to those who were not involved at all in the protest movement.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of lawsuits from business owners to wrongful death to residents to people who are in the chop. So we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, it's not going to court or trial anytime soon. It's going to be some time with that. Next up, this is actually a video here. It's called "Who Am I?" and it's something that some local directors and producers put together. I know Randy was one of the people. Seattle's Randy is one of the producers on this, and it's about a 2-minute video here. It highlights different artists in the Seattle area, and it's actually as a part of a fundraiser to support Choose 180 and actually creative justice. But here's this video. Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? I am your friend, a sister, a brother,
a neighbor. I am a son, a daughter,
a cousin. I am the relative of all before me. My ancestors'
wildest dreams, yet still, I cry out from their nightmares.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I am the skin, pulled tight and stretched thin.
I am the canvas of hues decorating your walls.
Brushed over in your renaissances and forgotten in your history books. Yet I remain resilient.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I am the sound the trees make on a warm summer day.
A strength built over time. The horns and the keys has sparked a revolution.
The bass, the strings.
I'm generations of voices you tried to silence.
Yet the crescendo is building.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? I am the rhythm, the sway of my hips, the waving of my hands.
My feet slap the ground beneath me, thunderous in their nature.
I know that you see me. Your gaze never leaves me.
Yet you clap and clap. My discomfort is your entertainment. Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
I am a keeper of secrets, a teller of stories, an author
who recants the tales of pain and injustice.
Injustice of my people.
I sing out in frustration, harmonizing our suffering.
Who am I? I am the definition of making do.
A master of flavors by force.
You seize my plates, add garnish, and a fancy name. Who am I?
Who am I?
I am the tale of torture that weaves through my coils.
I am the twist,
the braids,
the do-rags.
I am the fades and tapers.
The locks that you claim to dread.
Yet called different names when atop your head.
Who are we?
We are the movers and shakers.
The culture pushers,
the tastemakers.
The revolutionaries and the risk takers.
We too.
We too.
We too.
Our
America.
All right. That's this Who Am I? And it's actually, so it's on YouTube as Who Am I Film. And it says Who Am I is a visual poem highlighting the relationship between Black life and the art it creates. It portrays 40 plus Black Seattle artists of various disciplines, ages, complexions, and backgrounds from every neighborhood in the city. And directed by Abdi Ibrahim and Jonathan Salman, and produced by Randy Surf. That's nice, huh?
Yeah, really nice. I mean, shout out to those guys. And I think that, you know, as time goes on, we'll see more and more of these campaigns, because we do know there's a lot of, I say it all the time, great groups doing great work on the ground. And it's also amazing that there's this real convergence of, you know, folks like those directors who want to put a spotlight on, organizations and groups like, Choose 180 and Creative Justice. So, shout out to those guys. I mean, obviously, it really does feel like we're all really one family, just moving in this social justice movement and really fighting for equity. And that's what so many of us are out here doing. So it's really great to see that work is getting uplifted in that way. Beautiful piece.
All right. Again, that's on YouTube as Who Am I Film up there right now. Next up also, Steve Hickey from Impactful Lens, he was up there on the Hill as well. We had Jake and Bobby up at the mural, but also Steve Hickey did some coverage over there of this mural up on Capitol Hill, the Black Lives Matter mural that was repainted by some of the artists there. And we got it right here. We're going to play this clip right here, almost the full thing. It's about 2 minutes. This is what Steve Hickey from Impactful Lens put together up there at the Black Lives Matter mural.
We are here on Capitol Hill between Pike and Pine doing the repainting of the Seattle BLM mural. So the first one we did was, very renegade style, typical street art. We just came in, did a thing, and got out.
We commissioned the artists to come back and recreate the mural that they created in July. Partnering with SDOT.
I think just the energy around what we did, the community sort of engagement and the community, response was so huge that the city decided to, get in touch with us and see about preservation.
Davi here was sort of the expert here in terms of how to have a mural survive on the street surface. After the sealant was added by unauthorized person, we were brought in because just to see what the city could do to fix the mural. But Davi had noticed that the mural was failing; it was pulling away from the street surface. So we collaborated with the artists, just knowing that we could remove the sealant and they could repaint, but the artwork would fail over time.
So, over the course of the next few months, we kind of went back and forth with the city, trying to figure out an agreement on, how that could take place. And we finally came to a consensus, and now, so we're here now, and we're making it permanent, so we're super excited.
With the preservation on a road, on the street surface, it's a lot different than a mural on a wall, in the sense that, there's a lot of buildup from just different kinds of chemicals running off of vehicles, oils, petroleums, salt and brine. We came out and we ground off the paint with a diamond head grinder and traced each letter where the existing letter was. So with that, we scuffed up the surface also of any smooth aggregate to bring something for the paint to bond to. It actually etched the Black Lives Matter mural in stone. First base was a specific traffic solvent paint that's made to actually bond to road surfaces. It's actually the white paint you see out on the roads, 3 to 5 layers of paint of the murals so that there's longevity in the color, and we're also adding attraction.
You kind of know everybody pretty quickly. So yeah, I just put a blast out, like we're doing a thing, like Who Wants to Be Down kind of deal, and everybody who I called showed up. The individual artists are also getting the shine that they deserve as well. So it's, the collective effort is getting recognition, and individual artists are getting work and getting looks that they deserve as well. The conversations that are going on in Seattle right now around demands with regards to policing and, just city accountability, government accountability, have not been met in the way that the community has asked for. This mural preservation was not something that the community asked for, you know what I mean? It's a great look. We appreciate it as artists. I'm sure the community appreciates it, as a statement, as a symbol. But at the same time, there needs to be actionable change with regard to how this city treats its community.
All right, big shout out to Steve Hickey from Impactful Lens for that segment right there. And yeah, the mural is up. It's out. Up there,
dope segment.
Capitol Hill on Pine.
Yeah, dope segment. I mean, at the end of the day, they pulled that together in such a great collaborative way, and it's beautiful to see. You know what I mean? It really is. All those artists really putting their, soul into it. You know what I mean? Because that's what we all experience when we see it. So, I mean, shout out to them. Shout out to all of them. And I think that what T-Dub just said there at the end is super important too, because the preservation of the mural wasn't one of the demands. So she keeps bringing it back, because this is such a collective voice out there. These demands don't represent some elite body of people. It really is about so much of what so many people want to see. So I love that she brought it back to the demands and to making sure that, hey, look, we're still pressing for those things.
Right. Before we get out of here for this segment, and when we come back, we're going to discuss this King County Equity Now video that I guess was released yesterday. Want to remind people that Thursday we have the Gun Violence Roundtable presented by our community voices. Willard Jemison, Sean Good, Dre Franklin, Chief Adrian Diaz, my brother, Shikundi Salisbury, 100 Black Parents. We've also got victims, victim families, and advocates and everything else. That's going to be from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Thursday, wherever you're viewing this right here. A very important discussion about gun violence and what's happening in our community. And like I said, Seattle Police Chief Adrian Diaz is going to join in as well. So I want to remind everybody to tune in for that. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we're talking about Taskforce and participatory budgeting, I guess. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بوشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
And I'm Trey Holiday.
All right, Trey. Oh, and before we jump into that, I want to say thank you all the people who continuously support Converge Media. We just played the support break right there. So thank you for people who may donate or subscribe to Converge Media. We definitely appreciate you. Want to move now. Trey Holiday. Now you're part of King County Equity Now, so I'm assuming you're an expert on these things here, or you're also part of Africatown Community Land Trust. And so yesterday, while minding my own business on the internet as usual, I see a video here, and it's like, yo, it's bootleg Rolex. It's like, yo, who are these people picking this task force, the participatory, this and that? And I was like, wow, okay, well, let me pick this up. I said, we'll play this video right now for the audience, and then we can have a discussion.
Have wasted funds on task forces and studies? Come on now, you need more of that?
I'm sorry, who are these community members?
Seattle has an opportunity to lead, to course correct, inclusive of the communities of the world that have helped make the city and lead the nation.
All right, Trey Holiday, tell us all about this video.
Well, I think it really pinpoints a lot of what folks have been saying in the community. There is a growing concern around the mayor really pushing for a task force that, comes from kind of her handpicking people to say that you guys are the ones to represent, where this money should go, help me basically and the city decide. And participatory budgeting really lines out a different process. It really does open up the opportunity for community members to participate, not these handpicked folks from the mayor's office. And we saw this in the town hall last week that, from on the community hour, that there is a real need to push participatory budgeting right now with regard to how this $17 million is going to come into community. It's important that we keep driving that message home and that we keep the community understanding that we're going to continue to press for what the community is really desiring. They don't want a task force, right? We know of so many people who have denied being on the task force that it then lends itself to wondering, who will she have to be able to pick from? And so that's where that note of who will these community members be, you see who's on the ground here. You see who's fighting for equity, for justice, for social change. You're seeing a lot of these faces be prominent right now in this movement. And it's unfortunate that those aren't the people that the city, the mayor's office is really talking to, that they weren't able to say, look, we understand this is what the community wants. Let's do what the community wants, which is really a participatory budgeting process, not a task force. So I'm glad that we were able to put that piece together so that others out here throughout Seattle can understand that, look, this is a growing voice here, and it's full of thousands of people who are saying we don't want what the mayor is pressing.
Right. Well, so one, this is Mayor Durkan. No matter, if you like the mayor and don't like the mayor, she has a lot of bag of tricks with her from her previous career as a prosecutor on the federal level. And, I wouldn't be surprised if this task force does have some people that ends up that the community is like, okay. Because are you feeling, does King County Equity now feel like you guys basically shook out the whole community and the whole community is like, nah, they're not with the task force? Or is there a possibility that the mayor might surprise you guys and be like, oh, okay, that's actually a good person? And if the mayor does surprise you guys on this task force, would you be willing to accept that person, or you just don't want a task force at all?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we don't want a task force. That's why that piece was produced. It's really to showcase the difference between the two. We have had task forces in the past that have not led to actual sustainable change that is rooted in the community and in a culturally responsive way. We haven't seen it, so why would we want to go that route again? It doesn't matter if there is a couple of good-natured folks in this task force or folks that really do come from community and have ties to community. That's not what we're saying here. What we're saying is, historically speaking, we have witnessed, experienced, and lived through failed task forces. So we don't want that again. We don't want to take that approach. Right now, there is a real shift across this nation. It isn't just happening in Seattle, but I do think that Seattle has a real opportunity to lead, as King said there in the piece, because we do have real work that's actually shaping and reforming policy from a community perspective. And that's really what participatory budgeting allows. If we go with, okay, fine, we just have to go with this task force, then we may end up in the same similar predicaments that what we've been in the past. And that's what we really want to make sure we go away from.
Well, all right. So I'm not going to mention any names here, but there's certain politicians and political parties here in Seattle that have been known to pack the room in certain kind of things where decisions are made. And so in this participatory budgeting process here, what controls do you have? Because it's the taxpayers' money, right? And so what controls in the past participatory budgeting process do you have for maybe someone whose interests are different than, you say, the community's just packing the room and encourage and basically changing the outcome that you might, or your group, King County Equity Now, might want. We've seen this before. Like I said, I'm not going to throw no names out on air, but there's people and organizations in Seattle that are well known for putting all their people into a room all of a sudden, and then they've changed the outcome of what community actually wanted because they outnumbered community.
Well, this is why it's important to have a real strong showing of community collaboration. That's what King County Equity Now is all about, and really bringing together all of the groups who've been doing this work on the ground. Trust and believe, there's a strong network behind this voice. It isn't, again, that's why I say that, because we actually are talking to folks. We're reaching out. We're trying to understand what people need. We have a new survey that people are going to start putting out there. Our researchers are going to be hitting the ground and door knocking and getting in touch with community members. And so that's really what this is about. It's about having a strong voice of solidarity right now so that we don't allow for it to kind of get broken up in that regard. We also have to fight against that kind of tactic with our own measures of collectivism. That's what it's about. And I think that we've been able to showcase a real strong sense of collectivism throughout this time. You know, in the last few months, we really have, by putting on certain events and also educating the community. I think there's so many people out there who have not been educated, who now understand, look, we want to take a Black-led approach because we understand that it really starts with Black equity. We understand that. And from that perspective, we want to ensure that that is the target so that all else can be uplifted. And I think that that's what so much of the education has been about. And we definitely have more education to do in that regard, because we don't want people to feel that this is, you know, some faction of something. We want this to be very inclusive of a strong community voice and really led by those who have been left out of these kinds of processes. So again, to your question there, you know, we do see that. We see that happen a lot of times. But what we don't see is a real collectivism of folks who've been shut out of that process that say, look, we're not going to stand for you coming in with those same old school tactics, old normal tactics. We're really doing something different here. And if that means we have to rally more folks, and that's what we have to do. Because at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of people, and I say this so genuinely because I experience it daily. There's so many people out there who genuinely care about the nature of all of the citizens in their city. They want equity for all, and they know that Black folks are at the bottom right now in this city. We have shown the statistics time and time again. We can talk about them over and over again. The disparities are only growing. So we have to do strong measures to stop that growth. And it really does come from a collective voice. And I think that educating folks on what we're trying to do, how we want to move, how their voice will be included, but starting with this shared set of values that we understand day one, Black folks are being left out, Black folks are being shut out, and we need to fix that so that we can uplift everything else.
All right, so the mayor did mention in one of these briefings that part of a percentage of this $100 million would be open for participatory budgeting. But you know, if things roll out the way that the mayor has outlined them right now, and the mayor puts together this task force and this $100 million is there, so then what? Is King County Equity Now like they don't want a part of that? They don't want to deal with that? They're going to go a different route? You know, I mean, what if you're unsuccessful right now? What you guys are basically lobbying to change this process from a task force to participatory budgeting. If you fail in that task, then are you guys just out? You don't want anything to do with this $100 million that she's proposing?
I think it's a thing you have to press on. Once again, I think uplifting some of the knowledge we've gained over just the last few weeks. I mean, listening to Nikita Oliver talk about that we don't see change unless we see that pressure. And so if that's what it's going to require, I think that there's going to have to be a whole strategy around how do we pressure the rest of the folks to understand that this isn't what community wants. And once again, I think it would also be unfortunate for the mayor's office to really go against this. I think what we're really seeing, and what we just saw with the council, unprecedented for them to understand that, look, we have a duty to the people we serve, and this voice is growing. This voice isn't going anywhere. We really have to address it. We have to address it head on. That's what the council did, and I think that the mayor has an opportunity to do that right now, not by sound bites, not by co-opting the language, not by dancing around these specific questions that she's been asked, but being specific about coming together with the community to do a different process and to lead. I think, again, we see it, we say it all the time. We have an opportunity to lead and show this nation how to do things differently. And so I think that there might be another form of pressure that we would have to come with if that was what, the end result was.
Well, you just said that you want the mayor to come together with community. Is that an invitation for Mayor Durkan to sit with King County Equity now? I mean, is there, are these communication channels open? Is this a discussion that people want to have, or people just want to snipe at each other, or people want to have, a conversation towards building here? Because clearly, I would say this, that I'm going out on a limb here. I'm assuming, because I haven't talked to the mayor. The mayor hasn't been direct about it since June or July when we asked the mayor's office who she's been talking to in the Black community. But I mean, clearly the mayor is talking to people in our community. She doesn't necessarily, they might not be as big or as well known as King County Equity now, but I'm sure that she's getting some guidance and insights into the community and, moving that way. Like I said, she's a former federal prosecutor, and, you would assume, just like going into a case, she's done her own homework. She has people that she's conferring with, but, is the table or the door open, as you say, for people to meet and have discussion here? Because I'll be honest with you, it's the mayor's office in King County Equity now, and you guys are just talking at each other and not quite at the moment talking to each other.
I think those opportunities have been there. I think we've always been like, hey, we're here. Have we ever had the invitation to come and sit with the mayor? No. I think in certain pockets, and I think that that's what her strategy is. Unfortunately, that's what we've seen play out here, is that it hasn't been like, hey, we understand, you just said it, King County Equity now being one of the largest voices. How come the mayor's office hasn't said, look, let me sit down with Nikita, White King, Trayana, Isaac, Sean Good, Amijah? Why hasn't the mayor done that and sit down with Inye Wakoma from Wanawari and really talk to all of us as a collective? Why can't we do that? That's a great question there, but I think that that's why so much of what you've seen here is that there's been direct communication to the community, right? To educate and inform them on the processes and the strategies behind this coalition, because it's been open for folks to really join the coalition and to say that, yes, we know that this is a great path for us to go. Let's take an innovative step right now and make that path happen. But I think that what we've seen, and I'm answering this here, I think that what we've seen is that the mayor's answer to that, to all of this voice, all of this collectivism, all of that has been to meet with people in her silos, has been to form this task force, has been to say that she agrees with all of the things that we want to do. Yes, she has a different approach to do it, instead of really saying, look, guys, here are some of the constraints I have with your plan. How can we work those out? I don't think we've even gotten to that point because the mayor has been taking a different approach.
Right. Has anybody from King County Equity now made a formal request to meet with the mayor? I only bring that up because if I want to do an interview, I make a formal request to Kamaria Hightower or to Kelsey or to Stephanie Formas, and it's on the record. And either they'll say yes, and sometimes they do, sometimes they say no. But I make I kind of feel like, the mayor should come to converse. She needs to tell us this and that, whatever. She knows I'm talking to the people, but at the same time, I still put in a formal request to be able to block an interview with the mayor. As King County Equity now send a formal correspondence to the mayor's office saying that they want to meet with her?
That's a great question. I haven't done it, right? I haven't done it. I've only been in one meeting, and that meeting we weren't invited to. And we did have a collective there. Converge did stream it live, so we were able to kind of showcase how that kind of happened. But that's the only interaction that me, Treyana, has had. I do know, again, I can't say if the mayor has actually reached out to Creative Justice, Decrim Seattle, or any of that, because that's not the communications we're getting. What we're getting is we keep getting these kind of public communications that showcase what she's trying to do in her approach, but we're not getting like, hey, let's try to do that. And maybe we haven't said, hey, should we be sitting down with her? So you're right. Maybe there's something else that can happen here. But I think that also there's a part of, of protest, and there's a part of movement that really comes from a ground up approach. It doesn't take a top down approach. And that's really what, King County Equity Now represents, is really a community grounded approach that says, look, there's a growing voice here. You have an opportunity to listen to that growing voice, to work with that growing voice, and to figure out an innovative approach in an innovative way to make things happen and to move our city forward. And I think Seattle really does, again, have that opportunity to lead in this regard, just like we did with Corona.
Yeah. So then the purpose of this video, I mean, clearly the people who are in King County Equity Now and who follow and support King County Equity Now, they're aware of the issues and everything else. Are you guys now trying to sway the hearts and minds of other people beyond your core group, like other citizens in Seattle, different neighborhoods and things like that, to bring awareness to this? Is that why you produced this video?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Oh, and that's also a part of why the town hall was so important in this movement. Part of it is really about showcasing what folks are doing. And, that's why I love the merge between the work and content, because it's so important to share the stories that's happening on the ground. And so that's what it's about. It's about expanding this, because we do want folks that are outside of all of this to understand what's happening, because we don't want, again, it's about driving the narrative. We don't want people to be making their own assumptions. We don't want people to be, confused in any way. We want them to be informed. We want them to feel engaged. We want them to feel connected. And that's what content really helps folks do, is to be connected to the messaging. And whether they agree or not, at least they can see where we're coming from with, transparency. Look, we don't want a task force. We're going to keep saying it. We don't want a task force. We really want a participatory budgeting process that allows for everybody to be involved. We don't want a hand-picked Rolodex task force. We've seen that play out negatively in our communities in the past. We just don't want to replicate that. And I think keeping that information and that education up and spreading that is definitely a part of why you're going to be seeing even more campaigns come out. Because it's important that we continue to uplift the messaging that really is coming from this growing collective.
All right, Trey Holiday. Breaking it all down. I don't know, it might not hurt to send an official letter. I'm just big on that. I put, I sent a letter to the whole city, to this whole city council. And, there's 9 council members, 6 of them got back to me, actually 7 now. I think there's only 2 that didn't get back to me, because, we were on the morning show. I'm like, man, who's the city council talking to? And, I was tweeting, who's the city council talking to? I got no response. I sent a formal email to every single city council member, as well as Dana downtown, and they all got back to me. 7 of 9 got back to me, and it ended up with an interview out there at Council Member Juarez at her home. So never know, what I'm saying? It could just be business as usual, but you might send a formal correspondence down there. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, man, we're jumping into the Converge Media time machine back to the year 1966. We had a discussion about the Metro bus yesterday. Thought that we take everybody down memory lane and share with you a little bit of the history of route number 48. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
I am Trey Holiday.
All right, Trey, you know, we got a lot of love yesterday when we talked about the Metro bus drivers that are taking early retirement. And I took a video segment of that and I put it out on my Twitter. It's got thousands of views and some of everything else. Matter of fact, just if we could cue up the part of the clip from yesterday, because I bring up Route 48, and the number 48 is what I want to talk about today. Man, I just want to take a second to be able to say, you know, thank you as a kid who rode the 2, the 3, the 4, the 7, you know what I'm saying? The 14, the 27, the 48. Yeah, you know, I was all over them. But the 48 has a real special history, you know, in Seattle and in the Central District. And because, let me bring this up here. And actually, why don't you go ahead and put this on screen here? Oh, yeah. So you might not believe it now, but back in 1966, and this was when it was called Seattle Transit, man, Black people, the Black community, Central District, there was no crosstown bus. Can you go and throw that up? There was no crosstown bus. And this was a big deal. This was a big fight. This is the Facts newspaper. Fitzgerald Beaver, rest in peace. God bless you at the Facts. But man, this was big news. Crosstown bus service for Central area begins with ribbon cutting program. And you go pull this down for a second. Oh yeah. And the story behind it, that's from 1966, the Facts newspaper. The Central District didn't have a crosstown bus, which meant that, like, if you wanted to get to the north to like University of Washington, or if you wanted to go south, you had to go downtown, what you would now call the 2, the 3, or the 4. And it was a big fight in the 60s to get the number 48 bus to just go north to like the U District and south down by like Franklin High School. And, you know, the transit authority at the time, I think it was Seattle Transit, it didn't become King County Metro until 1973. They were like, man, there's no demand. There's no demand for the route. No, there's not enough people that are going to want to ride it, and it's not going to be profitable. And other routes are more profitable. And at the time, it was CORE, the Congress for Racial Equality. There was CAMP. You know, CAMP was there, the NAACP. Quite a few other, I think the Less Shy Community Organization, and all these guys rallied, and they told the Transit Authority at the time, like, man, you need to give us some proof, show us your numbers. Well, the Transit Authority at the time was like, we ain't got no numbers. And so what the Congress of Racial Equality did, CORE and CAMP, is they just deployed riders all over all the routes across Seattle, and they collected their own data. And you know, and they kept hitting the Transit Authority with like, man, we need our bus. And ultimately, they threatened a boycott. It was like, man, if we're not going to get a bus in the Central District that's going to go north and south, then we're not going to ride the bus. And it was a 6-month fight. And there in 1966, go ahead and put this back up here. In 1966, this is, like I said, Facts newspaper, crosstown bus service for Central area with ribbon cutting program. And let me pull this banner down here so you can see the bottom of the Facts newspaper. News about the local and national Negro community. That was the line back then. But yeah, so this was the crosstown bus. So people had to fight for the 48. See, back in the day, it was called Seattle Transit. And so these were advertisements that went in, you know, telling people about the new 48 bus service at the time. And, you know, it was, man, community pulled together 1966, the 60s, the community pulled together and ultimately had to threaten a boycott to be able to get crosstown bus service in the Central District. So just wanted to share that little piece of history, you know, in the Converge Time Machine. Thanks, of course, to the Black Heritage Society of the state of Washington and the incomparable SJT, Stephanie Johnson Tolliver.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what an amazing clip. And again, you know, there's stories like this, so many amazing stories of community coming together, sharing their voice. This is what they want, pushing for a demand, creating an awareness around it by putting the ads all over so folks understood that there was a demand, going through the community, gathering their own research. I mean, do you hear what you just said to me? Do you know how motivated I am by this, by what I just said in the last segment? I mean, here we are again. Oh, I'm so inspired by movements like that. And I love when they happen right here in our local city, the Emerald City we love so much, because again, we have ancestry that did this, that they fought, they pressed, and they won. They got that Route 48. And you and I, bro, rode it many a times because I need to get to the U District. I need to get all the way to the South End. Perfect route, and definitely in high demand as it still is, hitting 23rd Ave today. Love it.
Yeah. But there it is. Always there's so much. It's such a wealth over there with the Black Heritage Society, the state of Washington. And imagine that the Facts newspaper. And my dad many moons ago was a staff photographer on the Facts newspaper with Mr. Fitzgerald Beaver. So somehow feel like, man, we're those are massive shoes to fill. So I wouldn't even say that we're doing that, but we're definitely following the path of these giants in media before us. Man, we're getting ready to get out of here today. And before we do, this is what I'm saying. Want to make sure and bring this back up. This is the gun violence roundtable. Thursday, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, wherever you're watching this show. Definitely want you guys to tune in. Let's support this. We got a lot of key people there who are going to be involved. And really, we want community to be able to take some things away from this. We want it to be actionable. We don't want it to just be, hot air and everything else. So we have to wrap it up right here. We're approaching the top of the hour. I know you got to run. Let me take a stand. You're already standing. I'm getting old over here, man. I got some other news too. Tomorrow, Basa's filling in for me tomorrow.
Oh, right.
Basa from Cube 93. She's going to be your co-host tomorrow. So we're excited about that. She'll be there. I'll be back in the studio on Thursday. And so until tomorrow at 11 a.m., where you'll see Trey Holiday and Basa. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing it again now. The victory is won. Victory is won.